Hi all. In this tutorial, we'll be painting this beautiful sunset sky using gouache. As for the materials, you'll need a paper which is at least minimum 300 GSM thickness. So I've actually made a sketchbook out of these sort of papers. So you can use a paper directly or even paint on a sketchbook. We need a pencil to draw the pencil sketch, a couple of brushes. So I've used the brushes from the brand Himi. For this painting, we'll need some flat brushes and a detailer brush. Next, we'll need a masking tape to secure our paper. We also need a palette to mix the colors. I'm using a ceramic palette. We need a cloth to wipe the wet brush off and also 2 jars of water. As for the paints, I'll be using the Himi Gouache 24 tube set. It's super creamy and vibrant. Let's tape the paper with the masking tape. Make sure that the masking tape is fixed properly. Let's start by adding a simple pencil sketch. So I'm just drawing the bushes or the foreground part for now. We don't have to take it very detailed and all, just mark the trees and the placements for now. Let me quickly walk you through the colors I'll be using today. So I'll be using Prussian blue, acid blue, sky blue, pale orange, yellow, orange and black, and of course white. Let's start with Prussian blue, which is the darkest tone of blue from the top part of the sky. As we come down, we'll gradually be adding the next shades of blue, that is acid blue and also sky blue. The tones need to become lighter as we come down, so keep adding white to the blue and keep blending. Once we have added all the shades, just keep blending with the brush from bottom to top. Now deepen the color on top. As we blended, the vibrancy was lost, so I'm adding Prussian blue on top and again blending with it. Once we've reached the halfway mark, we need to gradually transition to orange. So this is where we'll be laying down the lightest shade of blue, almost a very pale blue. Now once again it's time to blend, so I'm just using a damp brush to run over my paint again. So to transition to orange, I'm mixing white with the pale orange and laying it down on the blue. Now let's slowly mix in a little bit of yellow at a time and keep laying it down over the pale orange part. The most vibrant orange will be at the very bottom of the sky, so I'm layering it with bright orange. As you can see here, the blend is not very perfect, so we need to add little more white to make sure the blend is perfect. I have added more white to the pale orange shade and I'm layering it in the middle to make sure the blend is smooth. Add more orange and yellow in the bottom part and blend it with this pale orange shade. Use a damp brush to blend everything together smoothly. If required, you can add more white to the middle part and blend it very smoothly. Once you're happy with the blend, it's time to dry this completely. So my sky part has dried completely, so now it's time to paint the foreground with black. So I've taken my flat brush and with the tip of my brush, I'm layering down the bush part. Let's use black to fill the remaining part of the paper. For painting the trees, I'll be using a detailer brush. Let's start by adding some sort of bushy patterns, more like pine trees in the background. Once you're happy with the background, we can start painting the main pine trees. I'm first adding a stem and then start adding the pine tree leaves. The shape of the pine tree is very important. So it's more like a triangle where there are more leaves on the bottom and less leaves on the top. And it also has a lot of leaves in the middle. Let's quickly add the other pine trees as well. Painting the pine trees with different heights gives it more realism. Now that we've painted the pine trees, let's add some stars on the sky. So I'll be using white color to paint the stars. Let's cover the foreground with a scrap piece of paper and we'll start splattering the stars. The splattering technique is mostly used for painting stars, so just load a small brush with a lot of paint and start tapping it over the paper. We can also do the splattering technique by tapping the brush with another brush so that we get finer stars. Let's also add a shooting star kind of an element on the sky, and let's give a final touch by adding a glowing moon in the night sky. For the glowing moon, add a white dot first and smudge the edges with a damp brush. Add more white paint on the moon to give it the glowing effect. Last but very important, always sign your paintings. Once everything is completely dry, we can remove the masking tape. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Thank you for joining me and happy painting!